Welcome to the Total Release Podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Shorter. Today we're talking about a life-altering truth. Knowing your body is the first step to saving your life. Wow. When was the last time you listened to your body? Like really listen. Not just when it was in pain, but when it was whispering for a change. That's what we're going to talk about in just a minute. Let's go. I remember a few years ago, I was in a certain place where I was focused on writing a book, and I was in my car a lot, and because I was so focused on getting the book finished that I started neglecting my workout regimen, something I've been doing for decades, like consistently working out for the most part, most of my entire life, from 15 above. And during this season, I was so focused, not really sleeping, staying up late, kind of eating on the go. And it didn't take long. It was about 2 years of doing this, but definitely in the last 6 months of those 2 years, as I got closer to finishing the book, I remember my health started to change. I started feeling lethargic. I started feeling, like my nerves were bad. I started just having these side issues that seemed like they weren't going away. And I'm like, what's going on? And I went to the doctor, and they told me that I was like borderline pre-diabetic. And what I realized is that when you're used to moving around and exercising and working out, and then one day you just stop, you have to be intentional about what's next. Because if you're not aware of your body or aware of the sudden change, then that change can alter your body in a way that may not benefit you in the short or long term. And I mean that because in that moment, I realized, man, it's like I woke up to the fact, well, you haven't really been working out like you used to. You haven't been eating the way that you normally do. You've been on the go. And now your body is saying, hey, what about me? I realized that there's order to everything. And the thing about it is you never forget to keep the main thing the main thing. And if the main thing was fourth on the priority list and what you're doing now was fifth or sixth, don't forget 4, because 4 is going to tell you, hey, something's not in alignment. And so that was when I had to make the shift. And it wasn't just physically, it was emotionally and spiritually too. I had to realign myself back into what was most important, and that was my holistic life. It was my mind, body, spirit. And really, when one is out of alignment, all of them are to some degree. Something is lacking when one is lacking. How you do one thing, you start doing it the same way in every other area, right? So here it is. 80% of chronic conditions, here's a statistic, like heart disease and diabetes and inflammation are preventable through diet and lifestyle. That's from the CDC. Only 1 in 10 adults eat enough fruits and vegetables daily. 1 in 10 adults? And that was from a CDC 2022 data, basically. And so think about that. Food is changing. The quality of food is changing. And I'm not here to discuss the quality of an apple, but all I know is these apples are starting to get real sweet. Sweeter than I remember them being. Now, that could be for a number of reasons. Maybe because my palate is changing, and because I don't eat a whole lot of sweets anymore, I can tell when something is extra sweet. But I can also tell when it's just that I haven't been eating sweets, But some of them seem extra sweet. I don't know about you. But anyway, right? So here it is. Mental health and gut health are deeply connected, right? Over 90% of our serotonin, which is the mood change or the mood chemical that we experience in our body, is made in the gut. So what happens when we're not eating properly and we start realizing, I don't feel happy, I don't feel whole, something's missing, because the chemicals that are now being put into your body are foreign chemicals, and they're not aligning with the natural flow of how the body is supposed to function and the nutrients, the antioxidants, the minerals, the vitamins, the supplementation that we should be getting that helps keep our body rejuvenated, to help keep our body from oxidation, right? I used to be a consultant for a nutraceutical company about 20 years ago. And one of the things I learned was about oxidation, how the cells in the body actually they start to decay, pretty much like when you cut an apple open and leave it on the counter. And if you leave it there for a few minutes, what tends to happen? It starts to turn brown, right? Well, we learned that oxidation is what happens to the cells when we're not protecting the cells. How do you protect your cells from free radical damage and oxidation? Is when you're eating antioxidants, when you're taking in fruits and vegetables, when you're getting your minerals and your vitamins. It's the things that actually coat and wax your cell. So I learned that for those, several years when I worked with that company. I had a chance to meet with former Merck and Pfizer scientists who had become nutraceutical based pharmacists, or what they call pharma next level type, nutraceuticals instead of pharmaceuticals, to help the body heal, not be cure based, but to prevent the body from being exposed to free radical damage. And so I learned a lot in that company, and I traveled everywhere with that company around the United States. And, we did presentations and we shared with people this measurable device. It was like the first time that we were able to measure antioxidants in a person's body. And that device was incredible. I mean, if anybody has heard of it, it's called the biophotonic scanner, but it was incredible, great device. And it really helped change the way that I saw the human body. So if you ever, want to know what your antioxidant level is, try to find somebody with the biophotonic scanner. I know it was on the Dr. Oz show not too long ago, maybe about in the last 10 years, I saw it on there. But we helped bring that to market. I was a part of that life-changing event in history. So I would challenge you to do that. Now, here's another thing. Mental health check-ins are really important, right? You can eat clean, you can work out 5 days a week and still feel exhausted. But if your mind isn't right, if it's toxic, overwhelmed, mental health is really not a luxury. It's a part of your diet, right? What are you feeding your mind? You got to eat a certain way, but what are you feeding your mind? If it's TikTok all day long, if it's Instagram all day long, then that may not be, depending on the algorithm. And I would say, even if you have a really good, healthy algorithm, that's great. But what else are you feeding your mind? What are you reading? What kind of dialogue are you having with the people that you love? What kind of people are you surrounding yourself with so that you can really receive what you need as a mental nutrient? People that feed you good information, people that feed you good love, people that feed you good care and show empathy into your life, people that feed you quality time, right? What are you feeding your mind, right? So I would challenge you to do that, right? So here are some key takeaways, right? Know your body signals: fatigue, bloating, low energy, foggy brain. How many people struggle with having a foggy brain? Man, I mean, I know I've had it quite often. And truth of the matter is, I'm constantly at the age of 50 working on myself. Every so often I have to change something in my diet, change something in my, the time that I go to bed, the time that I wake up. I made a decision this past November and let me start here. For the last 28 years, I've been free. My diet was free of red meat. And that was because I was having migraines, and just through meditation and prayer, it was good for my body. Not everyone, but it was good for my body to put away red meat. And then recently, this past November, I heard let go turkey and chicken. And that was just something I needed. It was for better digestion. It was because I was knowing my body and I was like, I'm feeling foggy again. I don't feel healthy. I feel like I'm trapped between worlds. I'm not sleeping well. Things are starting to change that don't feel good. And so I decided to let that go. But it started with me doing a 14-day cleanse. Shout out to Dr. Bobby Price out of Atlanta. Never met the guy, but someone recommended his product and I used it. And I'm not getting paid for this at all. There's no affiliate link. It's just that I like it and I shared it with people that I love. And that 14-day cleanse, I've done it twice already. It really helped me out a lot. And it helped flush my system out. The Candida cleanse. It helped do a tummy tuck, which was, it goes into your colon and clean that out as well. And so now I feel regular. Things are working good. But I also made a decision to change my diet again. And so things like that, try not to eat. I'm not saying you have to be perfect. I'm just saying, like, manage your diet, right? If you want to eat something sweet, that's great, but don't do it every single night, right? You got to manage that, right? You got to be a good steward with your body, steward with your eating, steward with your money, time, resources, and opportunities, right? So you don't want to ignore the symptoms and go to the doctor, get your body checked out, get a physical, get your blood checked. You want to make sure that you're healthy. You want to make sure that you're on top of things, right? So pain is a messenger. It's not a punishment. So when we're in pain, the body's letting us know that something's going on the inside that we need to pay attention to. All right. So here's another one. Be intentional, not extreme. Drastic diets don't last, right? How many people get on a diet at the beginning of the year? Right? For many, many years, for like almost 20 years, I go to the same gym and I'd see people packed in the gym from January 1st to maybe January 21st. After that, they're gone. Like 50% of the gym has just disappeared, right? It's packed. And guess what? Those people pay money every month and they never come back, or they come back sporadically whenever they want to go to an event and they want to look good. So they work out for maybe 5 days leading up to that event just to lose weight, and then they put it right back on. It's about being consistent. It's about a lifestyle adjustment. Be intentional, not extreme. Stay even keel, right? Get off the emotional roller coaster. It's not good for your mind, right? Here's another one. Start with one habit per week, right? Drink water. The first thing I do in the morning is drink water. I keep a bottle of water next to my bed and I drink it as soon as I wake up in the morning. I go straight to the restroom. It is like regular. My body is programmed. It knows exactly what to do. And I used to have the problem when I traveled, because I was on different time zones, that my body would get thrown off. Well, now that it's trained, even when I'm in other time zones, that's still working. My body knows, drink water. You wake up at a certain time, drink your water. You get a certain amount of hours of sleep. I usually float between 6 and 7 hours of sleep, on the low end, 5 hours. But I know that my body will perform if I'm consistent, right? And so walking, journaling, drinking water, all of these things are really important. And I would say not eating late, right? Your body needs to heal. It needs to digest. And if you keep it working hard because you're eating at midnight every single night, your body's not properly digested. And then by the time you wake up, you usually have a headache. You probably had some sugar with whatever you ate late. And now you have a headache the next day. And your body's tired. You feel like you ran 12 marathons while you were sleeping, right? That's not good. Right? You want to make sure that you manage your sleep and your mental health and your body intake. Okay? So move with love, not with guilt. Exercise isn't a punishment. It's a gift back to your body for all it's done to keep you alive. Exercise it, right? You want to burn off certain calories, right? You want to keep the heart pumping. You want to get the blood flowing through the arteries. You want to keep your body nice and healthy and smooth as possible, right? Some of us have issues that are chronic. And let me tell you something, it may be out of your control. When I was around the country with that scanner, I met people who had genetic diseases that if the parents had it, the grandchildren had it, the children had it, the grandparents had it. It was the craziest thing I ever seen, but it made sense. So how do you counter that? You got to be very intentional, right? Here's another one. Feed the body and the mind. Add quiet time, prayer, meditation, and again, journaling. Track your triggers, right? Because what throws you off mentally or physically is usually the things that you're not paying attention to. It's like you get swiped and you're like, wait, where did that come from? Well, if you pay attention, it was there the whole time. Right. So we want to make sure that we are paying attention to those triggers. Track them. Right. Stay accountable. Right. Get a health partner. Get a coach, or even a small group text going. I have a morning group that I meet with, and we do spiritual, conversations, but we also talk about life, health. We talk about family. But it's accountability, and we pray for one another and we support one another, right? So just keep in mind accountability is very important. So, let me just say this one last thing. What's one signal your body is giving you right now? Right? Ask yourself that question that you've been ignoring. What's that one thing? Right? I would challenge you to pay attention to it. Don't ignore it. Do something about it. Make the change. Be transformed. You can transform your thinking by becoming aware and then becoming intentional and then become consistent. Make the sacrifices necessary to change your habits. And once you do that, you won't feel like a new person. You will be a new person. So I challenge you, if what you heard today encouraged you in any kind of way, go ahead and hit subscribe and share this video with somebody you love, somebody that you know that needs some encouragement, some uplifting, who needs some things answered, like questions about what to do about their body, what to do about how they feel like they're constantly in a fog, how they feel just drained from life, because life has the tendency, if we don't get ahead of it, it will get ahead of us. And the thing about it is, it's not a good master. So I want to stay ahead of it, stay on top of it. And the way I do that, and the way I challenge you to do that, is be present now. Be in tune with your body, be in tune with your mind, and be in tune with your soul. With that, I'm Daniel Shorter with Total Release. God bless, and I'll see you tomorrow.